Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Going to 5,000 subscribers by September 7th. Texas LSU, couldn't be more excited. But today, we're here. It's finally come for the Dallas Cowboys. We finally get to draft day 2. We get 2 picks in today. We didn't do any trading. We picked at 58 in the second round, picked at 90 in the third round, and addressed the trenches on both sides. So let's break it down. Let's talk about it. We'll love to know how you guys feel. Please comment in the, please leave your comment below, and we'll have my social media links in the description box below. So please follow. But addressing the trenches, starting off with Tristan Hill from UCF, defensive tackle, who we decided to draft at 58. As you guys saw my pre-draft video, one of the things I chimed in on and really targeted on is our pre-draft visits and the guys we allotted. I think we had 28 visits total out of the 30 we could use. Tristan Hill was one of those folks we had in. Now, in terms of where he fell on the board, because I know there's some conflicting opinions, and typically there is whenever the Cowboys pick someone. That's just how we are, and within the fan base and what we're listening to. And I know a lot of people, myself included, expected us to address the safety position there. There were guys like Juan Thornhill, Will Harris, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's still available, Taylor Rapp, who I actually predicted us picking and went 3 picks later to the Los Angeles Rams. So a lot there to discuss in terms of, hey, we went defensive tackle versus safety, but we did go after a guy who, going back to the board thing, some people had him as high as 3rd, 2nd round. Some people had him more in the 5th, 6th round range. So as we're seeing with a lot of these GMs like Mike Mayock and a whole bunch of people wreaking havoc, people's boards were all over the place. I can't remember another draft in recent memory where the evaluations on certain players have just been really weird and across the board, where we're seeing 20, 30, 40 spot gaps in terms of where certain NFL teams had a guy and where everybody else, in terms of evaluators and certain scouts and all these people that we see do these mocks. We haven't seen it be this wide, to me, of a gap that I can remember, just with whole position groups. However, going back to the Cowboys, Tristan Hill, I didn't really touch on him because I really didn't expect us to go this direction at 58, to be honest with you, just because of the volume of guys we brought in at safety that we evaluated and worked out and whatnot. But we have seen Rod Marinelli bang the table for a player before, just as recently as the Taco Charlton, and we have gone that direction early on the defensive side of the ball in the draft. Doing that here with Tristan Hill was really interesting. It's very clear his talent and how disruptive he can be and a force on the line of scrimmage. And I love the attention to addressing the trenches, especially the manner in which you lost the playoff game. We've discussed that a lot on this channel, having C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley run the ball down your throat, for the tune of 275 yards in a playoff game where it ended your season. And I know you want to address that, and defensive tackle was certainly a need. Now, is Tristan Hill necessarily a one technique where he's going to be an anchor and plop down in the middle of that defense and really divert attention outside? Not necessarily, and I don't think that's the case here. I'm not disappointed with the pick because of the player's talent and upside, but one of the things I noted was you have to be careful with upside with some of these guys, because even though Rod Marinelli does, traditionally has done a very good job in terms of player development along the defensive line, there's a couple of concerns here. As recently as the last time we went upside with somebody on the defensive line like this, Taco Charlton hasn't really panned out. Here we are, 3 years later, and we're still waiting. So is that going to be a similar case with Tristan Hill? Now, granted, he's not a first-round pick. He's a second-round pick, picking a little bit later, and it's a different scenario. But the concern is still there for me, especially when you couple in the player's background. And here's what we need to address. Many of you have read, and I'm sure some people are going online and seeing, hey, this guy's had some red flags. He had some run-in with the coaching staff and Josh Heupel that took over from Scott Frost at UCF. Yes, UCF remained very successful and went on to play LSU in the bowl game, but, he lost his starting spot and had some issues, just being combative with the coaching staff. Some scouts even saying he's just a very difficult player to coach in general. Sounds kind of familiar with the guy he's kind of replacing is David Irving, who we've had issues with internally and kind of still are, even though he's not on our team and he allegedly retired. So, bringing in one knucklehead to replace another knucklehead, the question is, A, does the player mature and grow up? B, does he capitalize on the opportunity? Does he recognize that he, got drafted below where his talent level is as a disruptive 3 technique defensive tackle, which is how I see him. He's about 6'3", 308. I know his body looks a certain type of way. His body looks, to me, bigger than what his weight indicates. But when you see his feet and how well he tested at the Combine, Pro Day, his numbers were very, very good for a man his size. And the tape is there when the motor's on, but that's another concern. How's the motor, work ethic, issues? You never want to hear these things about a certain player, especially when, you're looking at, again, guys that I liked at the safety position, like a Taylor Rapp, and or Juan Thornhill, guys that were model citizens, and both of them, Thornhill, I believe, went to the Chiefs. Both went to great programs and organizations where they're going to be key contributors and instant hitters right off the bat. And so I think we're going to have to wait a little bit on Hill. But my thing is, can he add to the rotation and be a disruptor and we see more of the good without the headaches, without, the combativeness? Because I'll be honest with you, again, being in win now mode, and passing on some of the guys we decided to pass on. Now, I will say this. I will give this organization the benefit of the doubt. I thought last year they made some great calls. I liked what they did. Not necessarily in love. I don't mind. I love addressing the trenches. It's just, the personnel that was selected. But they've earned the benefit of the doubt, in my opinion. And so if Rod Marinelli's going to bang the table for, this particular player and he feels it can help the rotation and it's a remedy to what, ultimately killed us and got us knocked out of the playoffs last year, then I'm here for it. Moving on to Connor McGovern from Penn State. Now, they announced him on ESPN as a guard. He did play center at Penn State and was there, with Trace McSorley and, Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, all those guys, and James from Coach James Franklin. So, what are we getting there? I think, one of the interesting things is he was not a guy on the pre-draft visit. He was a guy who I believe, from what I've read and just, the homework that I've done, I was familiar with McGovern because I do watch a little bit of Penn State football. I knew he was their center. I thought he was a pretty good player. Nothing to blow me off the field in terms of him moving people all over the place. Absolutely not. But outside of me just knowing that he was the Penn State center, I thought it was interesting that the Cowboys had no contact or interaction with the player until tonight. So it makes me curious as to what their board looks like, especially with, some local guys that are still there that I know that they like and that they visited with, some guys on the board at the safety position that they brought in. That also tells me that either their workout or their interview wasn't up to snuff with what they felt comfortable drafting even at 90. And I think, this may have even been a fallback plan because I know for a fact they like Damian Harris, but of course he went to the Patriots. Will Harris also went early, I think at 81 or 82. So, the Cowboys going with Connor McGovern, a guy, though, who can play a bunch of different positions. And, really it's like, is this an insurance policy for Travis Frederick? And him coming back from, his element, is he 100%? I know we have Joe Looney, but just having that depth across the offensive line. And is left guard a long-term spot for Connor Williams? Or do they see this guy sliding in here and ultimately moving Connor Williams to the outside? What happens with La'el Collins? Or is this just more, hey, best player available, and he's more of a chess piece that we can move around? We really liked him on what we saw on tape. We had some good connections with our scouts that we trust, or a coach that had a relationship with Coach Franklin over at Penn State. And we feel comfortable taking this player here at 90. So these are some things that, you can kind of take a risk on later in the draft. I do think, though, that the Cowboys, they have to address the safety position. They have to address the tight end position. They have to address the running back position, in my opinion, especially the running back and safety positions. That is a non-negotiable. They do have 2 fourth-round picks We could see the slide continue for 2 more of these safeties or 3 more, whoever, and we nab one of them, maybe nab a Travion Williams from Texas A&M in the 4th round. Those things are still on the table as those players are available. There's Hakeem Butler still available, which is shocking to me from Iowa State. Please chime in if there's a reason why you guys think he slid. I thought he was dynamite and somebody that would have gone at least by the 2nd round. So that was a little surprising to me. But overall, if you keep up with the pre-draft visits, not surprised by the Tristan Hill pick. I did figure he was in play, even though I didn't talk about it on the video, because that is a position of need, even though he's not a one technique and that anchor, that nose, if you will. But the Connor McGovern pick is a little bit surprising just because they didn't have, a natural rapport with the player in terms of the visits and bringing him in. But that's something they found value in and felt highly about him, all things considered, with his position versatility. So again, I'm never mad about when we address, the foundations, the pillars of your football team, the trenches, the offensive and defensive line. But let's go out and get us some more talent. Day 3 of the draft is still a great opportunity. Day 3, we drafted Dak Prescott, and so there's opportunity still to be had with the 4 picks we have left, 2 picks in the 4th round, 1 pick in the 5th round, and then our last pick in the 7th round. So you guys please chime in with, your thoughts. Please welcome Connor and Tristan, brand new Cowboys, wishing the best of them. Again, whether you like the pick, you love the pick, it's all right. These guys are Cowboys now, and I said that with Leighton last year. I said that with Connor. I said that with Michael, all those guys. These guys are Cowboys now. I'm rooting for them, want the best for them, want the best scenario for them, and, hopefully, the Cowboys can continue the luck that they've had in terms of the personnel that they've drafted. So excited to talk to you guys tomorrow, and we'll wrap up and kind of summarize this thing, put a bow on it. But anyway, peace. Enjoyed talking with you guys. Out.